Jennifer Phillips with Gateway Realty International. I'm really, really excited about our guest today because he has so much experience on so many different levels. And as we've said before, you know, we're looking to help anybody out there that has questions about the different facets of real estate. And I happen to have the genius himself when it comes to many things, and especially property management. So Dennis, I'll let you introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are, where you've been, and what you're doing.
All right. Hey, thanks for having me come and speak. I'm Dennis Kraesig. I'm with Realty Executives. I'm with the R Group team, and I strictly do property management. Now, that's not always been where I've been. I started when I was 19 years old. I've done things as new builds. I've sold land. I've worked commercial. I have sold homes, been a buyer's agent, you know, you name it. But for the past 10 years, I've been doing property management. I'm on two committees with TAR, the Education Committee, which is now the Professional Development Committee instead of Education, and I'm on the Property Management Committee. I'm also on the Ethics Grievance Committee for AAR. I'm pretty well-rounded on a lot of the aspects of what we do and why we do it. Like I said, we only do in this team property management. We have another division within the R Group that does sales. I don't have any unlicensed admin on my staff. All of them are on their way or certified with the certification, the Certified Residential Property Management. I'm also on with NARPM. And these are great sources for anyone. I mean, I can be a resource, okay? But if you want to, you're always invited to come and see a NARPM meeting, National Association of Residential Property Managers. You're always invited to the committee, okay, for TAR, and come and voice your opinion, gain information, whatever. And hopefully what I provide for you today is a culmination of those experiences, because we've been on top of COVID somewhat on a weekly basis, and we think that we have some information that you may like.
So we could have just gone through probably what you don't do a lot faster.
Yeah, that's true.
What I love about you is, you know, you have all these different experiences to share, and I know you stay on top of everything. So thank you so much for being here. I do want to talk about what's going on during the pandemic. We got hit kind of out of nowhere. We were all kind of blindsided. I saw a lot of people scrambling and panicking, and you remained very cool, calm, and collected, as you always do. And I know that you work in property management, which is my opinion and possibly yours, the hardest part of real estate. How have you sustained through this, and what kind of things do people need to know to help their landlords and tenants during this time? Because I think there's so much confusion out there right now.
Absolutely. Well, you know, people come out on television through the media and make general statements. And a lot of those general statements, when they're really even good information, can be interpreted wrong. Our plan right up front is to be ahead of it. So when the executive orders came out, when the congressional orders came out, regarding COVID, it's the CARES Act, okay, and then the executive orders, there's been 4 or 5 executive orders, and then some general statements. Our part that we needed to do was to make sure that our tenants were well educated, okay, because a lot of them assumed that, oh, I don't have to pay rent. That's not true. The basis of the whole thing is those who qualify will not be charged penalties or evicted for a certain period of time. Some of those time periods have lapsed, and some of those time periods have been extended, okay? But all in all, our communication with our tenants, okay, were you must pay rent. We were fortunate that we had less than 0.5% of our tenants not pay rent. And the other 2 or 3%, and we have over 200 houses that we manage, single families. And those others that we had to put on payment plans, they made the payments. So when we were able to set up the payment plans as prescribed by these rules and regulations, we monitored them, we were on top of them, and we were ahead of the curve because of communication mainly, and then follow through. Okay, so those things were what helped us and will help anybody out there, is know what you're doing, know what the laws are, and be ahead of the curve. Be educated, be informed, and communicate that.
Yeah, and if anybody has questions about the CARE Act or about things that have happened, are they welcome to contact you? I mean, I know they can obviously find it online, but if it runs a little deeper than that and it's not surface level, can they contact you to just ask you those questions?
Yes, but again, I can't give legal advice, okay? And some of those things could be legal, and I will tell you, and to refer to legal counsel, there are so many of them, Jim Frisch, Blythe Edmonds. There are a number of attorneys out there that are very, very well versed in this, but also there are some attorneys who are not. Be aware, okay, that if they don't practice, it's just like being a property manager. If you don't practice at it, if you don't dedicate yourself to it, if you don't know the rules and regulations, you could really screw it up for you being the property manager or realtor, and you could certainly cause a liability for your landlord. Okay, so really, really important. Yes, I'll take calls or questions, but if it becomes a legal piece, either I'll refer you to the law for you to review, and what part of the law for you to review, both in the landlord-tenant code but I am not going to give you advice. I will refer you to one of the attorneys I use.
I love that you said that, because I think so often across the board, agents, regardless of what their specialty is, they oftentimes forget that they are not the source of everything, and that we can't deliver information that is not under our umbrella. And, I preach it constantly, be the source to the source. And that's that, because you just put yourself in so much danger. And everybody wants to communicate. And I think that's a great thing to do. But at the end of the day, make sure what you're communicating is under your expertise, right? That's just so important. And predicting the future is another one that I think a lot of people say, oh, it's good. And I know we all saw this back in the day where we had really never seen property values drop, and even though we obviously are going to have an idea of what's coming, based obviously on a formula and what's going on, and we kind of have an idea. We want to share that with our clients. It's important too. That's what your job is, and make sure you've got the little disclaimer in there. That you don't have a magic ball, unfortunately, and you wish you did. Speaking to that, what do you see happening in the future? I mean, where are we at now when it comes to the CARE Act? Are we kind of on the back side of it? So where are we at, and then what does that future look like with it?
Recently, the original executive order from the governor had expired. Okay, but he extended that and added a couple of caveats that are basically to the end of October. The couple of caveats is just proving the tenant must prove and must show action. Basically, prove that whatever the cause of non-payment would be is COVID related. Okay, doctor's note, whatever. Okay,
sure.
That they've tried to get assistance from any of the assistance organizations that are out there, whether it's food or rent or what have you. Prove that they've done that and worked out a relationship with the landlord or property manager on a payment plan. Okay, that's a general overview of what changed with the executive order. Okay, and it was extended.
You say COVID related. Is this if somebody's lost a job because of COVID, if somebody's sick, if somebody has a family member that's sick? Is it really broad?
Yeah, it's so broad that I think it's letter E. I'll look up the exact wording. Other pertinent circumstances. Okay, so it's relatively broad, but things like losing your job, having to stay home with the kids because they can't go to school, and as specific as you can. Okay, but even to a point of dialogue that if you lost your job in January, that's not it. Okay, and then other things are if you're tearing up the rental, okay, that's contract. That has nothing to do with COVID. And we have had an issue where we had to evict someone for something in the contract unrelated to payment. What's happening into our industry? Okay, how is that going to relate? Well, we're soon to find out. You know, I commented that we had less than 0.5%. I don't know that's going to be in September or October, when people are not getting the subsistences that have been afforded to them. We don't know what's around the corner with that. What we do know is people have to have a place to live, okay? Whether they buy or whether they rent. People are fleeing, migrating into Arizona from all points, northeast, southwest. They are coming to Tucson as well. We know that because of the market for sales right now. Where's our inventory? Okay, inventory's down. Inventory's down on rentals as well. I think a lot of us are turning to new builds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if the new build, if the developer can loosen up, okay, and allow more investors, okay, into the new builds, I think the main thing that the developers would have to have is an assurance that they will have a good property management firm so that they are not breaking the HOA, not devaluating the property, and so forth. So if the caveat is that the developer allows and the community allows for investors to rent properties out, it must go along with a property management agreement with a viable property manager.
Yeah.
Okay, so where is it going? We have the same, or maybe even worse, because we have more.
It's 11 o'clock.
We have more people that are desperate for places to live. It's driven the market up. It's driven the price up. Law of economics, supply and demand. Prices for rentals are going through the roof. Good for us, not necessarily good for the tenant.
I'm sorry, in the residential sales side, it looks a little different because some of that's being buffered by interest rates because they're lower. But in your world, there's no buffer, right?
There is no buffer. There is no buffer. And what we have also is because the market is so good, okay, these landlords have been holding on to their property because in the past they've been underwater.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. They've paid down their mortgage.
Yeah.
Okay. They've had a tenant in there that's paid for most of their mortgage, subsidized their mortgage or paid for all of it or whatever it's been. And now they got a great market to sell. So you are seeing a lot of landlords become sellers. Now, what does that do? Well, we can't, new builds, okay, are not out there enough. The housing starts, the permits and so forth have not been strong enough to create lower priced homes for the investment. And if the developer is not allowing investment, that curtails the number of amount of inventory we have as well. So we have desperation in a lot of cases with a lot of tenants. We will get a notification of a tenant moving out, okay? Thank God he or she found a place to live. We'll get that notification usually 45 days in advance. We put that on the market, and the next day, sight unseen, that house will rent. We will have 30 to 40 people inquire about it and 4 or 5 applications right off the bat.
Wow.
It's a fluid, it's a good market. Okay, we have the ebb and flow of landlords selling, and then we have new people coming on. So our business has stayed stable as far as the number of doors that we've had. So we're looking for a good completion of the year. We're looking that some of these people from out of state, okay, are still going to come. We've had growth. We've had Banner. We've had Caterpillar. We've had Raytheon. We've had any number of expanding and new businesses come down here, which all the people in sales know about. But some of those people, okay, are renting until they find a place or until their place is finished. So the rental market is fluid and very active. And I think it will be sustained because everybody has to have a place to live. Everybody has to have, whether they can afford to buy or they're continuing to rent.
Yeah. Well, and coming to Tucson, getting your feet wet, learning the different areas. I think there's a lot of that happening right now as well. We're getting a lot of calls from people that are coming in, like you said, some of them for healthcare, some from U of A folks are coming in as well. Professors, even, different people are coming in right now in groves, Amazon. I mean,
Yeah.
we're growing like crazy. And they don't want to just jump in and buy. Some people are that brave. I believe it's about 70% of the population, from what I understand, is unlikely to make that jump without learning a little more about the area. So they need a place to stay. And sometimes that's short term, it's 3 or 6 months. I know most people like to do, year leases. And is there a place or a way that people are making room for those folks specifically that just really want to come in and get their feet wet and do maybe a shorter term lease? Is that something you see coming down the pipeline, or is it happening now?
Well, we have some programs, and I think that there are others that have programs that will allow for that, that allow flexibility and does not compromise the fiduciary responsibility we have to the landlords. That's always the main consideration. We have someone to serve that has a fiduciary responsibility. And when people do come in, they want to have breathing space, breathing time to do as you say. So we've worked out a specific program, okay? And like I said, other property managers probably have, that will allow that flexibility. Not only is the fiduciary responsibility, the new tenants that are going to become buyers, okay, may pay a little extra for that flexibility, but in the long run, they can breathe easier and have the ability to reconnoiter around the area and get familiar with everything, and then make a choice without being a choice of desperation. So, in more details about that, our specific plan, because it's not generally known, you can give me a call about it. We can talk about it. But not everyone offers it, but some of the people offer in a different way than we do. So there are things out there. There are things being developed for short term. We're working on a corporate, which is short term, corporate rentals. There are a couple of people that are specifically involved with short term rentals out there, and you can find them easily on the web.
Boy, you're such a great resource. Holy cow. I've learned a ton, and we talked a little bit before we even got started, and I got to learn a lot there as well. And you mentioned that you were licensed at 19.
That's a long time ago.
That floored me. So what got you into real estate? I'm just really curious.
My mom. She was a realtor, and that was pretty interesting. I don't know if I was a novelty at 19 or whatever, but I started producing more than she did, and I know.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah. So, but it's been, I've taken a hiatus here and there. I've always had my license active. I've done other things, and my background is pretty diverse. I worked for a Fortune 500 company for a while, but all along the way, real estate was key. When I got here and got my Arizona license, our family was involved with building homes. So we lent construction loans, and we worked a lot down in the Rio Rico area. So we had lots of properties, probably did somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 single family homes that we financed the construction loans. So again, I've had some experience in a lot of different areas, but property management is where I'm rooted, and what I feel that I enjoy doing. People think I'm crazy. Okay. Yeah, they just, how can you endure all of that stuff, all the stress all the time? But yeah, it's I guess, what I was made to do.
Well, and thank goodness, because, not all of us are wired up to be able to handle that kind of stress and strain. And we were talking earlier about, getting those 3 a.m. phone calls, and it can be taxing and exhausting and overwhelming. And I know, realtors that do everything sometimes will get those calls, but when you're in property management, you will for sure get them, and probably a lot. So kudos to you, and I have a lot of respect for everything that you've done and what you're continuing to do, and how you stay on top of things. And I love that you said communication, and that's been a really common theme that I've been hearing amongst people that have been very successful through this pandemic. And I think people that stay connected and that educate other people are right now the most valued commodity to folks that are looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever it is, because people they aren't sure of what's happening. They aren't sure of where things are going. And there's a lot of uncertainty, I think, in the world as a whole. And so we, being the calm in the storm and communicating all the time, like you said, we owe that to our clients, first of all. And I think as agents, we owe that to each other. And being able to have conversations like this across company lines, nobody cares. I don't care what company you're with. I know you don't either. We've talked about this before. We want to help people because we want to make sure that nobody ends up in a position that they don't know what to do, or they're giving, false information or information that they're not certain of. And if we work together, and you said this earlier, it serves us all so well. And I mean, if you have any information or any guidance on that, I'd love to hear that as well.
Well, first of all, part of the communication is stay involved. Be involved, exchange information freely, take pride in what you do, okay, as a realtor. Communicate, be on top of your game. Practice in your specialty. Don't practice in my specialty. I can take care of that for you. I do not, my family trust, okay, buy and sell property all the time. I do not even do my own. I have someone else doing my buying, and I have someone else doing my selling, okay? I know that I know what I know, okay? I know what I know is property management. Do I know a little bit about making a listing? Sure, I've done that, okay? I could do it if I want, but I would have to brush up on it. I'd have to learn about it because I wouldn't feel comfortable about it. I have one of the best negotiators as far as buying property for me, okay, in a different realtor, okay? Yeah. I let them take care of it. And then the legal advice. Do I know the law? Yeah. Can I look it up? Yeah, but I can't counsel on that. Leave that up to the attorneys. But find a realtor that you know can do the job. Find an attorney that you know to do the job. And then communicate with them. Find out enough to have a legal conversation with them about what's going on. Don't just put it in. You go to a doctor and say, fix me.
You're right. Yeah, you have to know. Or you don't go to a heart doctor for a hand problem, right? I mean, you've got to have the right people in the right places. And that seems like another one of your specialties is being able to, put the right people in the right places, surround yourself with the right people that can give you information, keep you informed so you can keep other people informed. And I would like to keep in close touch and do these videos regularly because you have a lot of great information and you're one of those people that I want to be surrounded by so that I can remain informed. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day, is really just helping each other. And I love that you've taken the time to do this. I appreciate it so much. So my final question is usually, what is your advice? But I think you just said it. So I don't even think I have to ask the question because I think it's very clear that what we need to do moving forward and to stay in business and, stay in communication, stay surrounded by great people, keep yourself educated and know what you're good at and know what you're not good at. And I think that's very clear and I appreciate it. So thanks so much, Dennis. If somebody does want to reach you, how is it that they can find you? Where do they find you? Should they call you, email, website? That's right.
Google me.
Google you. I love it.
I'm all over. My phone number's out there. Google me. I'm all over the place.
Spell your last name for everybody so they know.
Kraesig. Kraesig.
Okay. So you all have it. There you go from the expert himself, the property manager expert. So we now know a lot more about what's going on and what's coming and how to move with everything that's going on. And we'll keep you informed. We'll keep you updated. We'll keep doing these so that we can make sure that everybody can stay on top of things together. So thanks again, Dennis. You're amazing. keep doing what you're good at, and I will be sending those folks your way because that is not my specialty. So I'll talk soon. Take care. Bye-bye.